Boom. All right, perfect. Yo, what up, world?
What's happening? What's happening?
Man, we still here.
Still thugging.
You know what I'm saying? Make some noise for us. We really making it happen. You know what I'm saying? But welcome to another episode, Building with Mars and Big Esco. You know,
What's poppin', y'all?
we're your respective hosts. Make sure you hit subscribe, comment,
Right.
like.
Like, do all that engagement shit. We trying to go to the
You
moon.
know what I'm
Like the
saying?
Dogecoin, goddamn me.
Yeah. If you want to sponsor, let us know. We
What's up,
might could figure
Elon? We
something
gotta
out.
fuck with you. I said a lot of shit about you. I ain't taking nothing back, but I take your check.
Yeah, what's up? DraftKings, whoever,
Right,
y'all doing all the other
right.
black people stuff.
DraftKings for sure. Definitely put a parlay in
Hit
before
us up. Prize picks, whoever.
you everybody
Crypto.com, everybody, y'all.
type shit.
Yeah, man. So, well, this episode was supposed to be our post election
Yeah, I guess it
episode.
still kind of is. It's the
No, it
second one.
definitely is. It
Yeah,
still
yeah,
is. It still
yeah.
is. The date for our listeners today is November 17th.
Right.
So
So
we,
2 Sundays, we about what, a week and a half removed
yeah.
from almost 2 weeks, pretty much removed from the election. The cabinet picks is starting to come in now too, so it's a lot of controversy
So
with
okay,
that shit.
we can
But
talk about
yeah.
that. They swapped it up too,
Right,
Biden
right, right, right.
and
And full disclosure, I don't think neither one of us were happy with the results from election
no.
night. Yeah. I
But
can't say I was surprised. It was
that's what
definitely
I
a
was gonna
big a
say.
big toss up. I think it would have probably been more surprising if Kamala were to win. I definitely had my hope and optimism leaning
Mhm.
towards that, but after Tuesday night, I think America showed us who we really are again. Just a reminder. As a black
Yeah.
person, you kind of go through that cycle of like hope and maybe better is coming, better for us is coming rather, and
Hmm.
all this other shit. And then like we typically get let down to some sort of capacity again. And
That's
I know it's
interesting.
folks that's like was black folk that's pro Trump. I will say I am happy with the amount of black men that did not vote for Trump. It was a little bit too much for my liking, but it looked a little bit more like what would have made sense anyway, based off of how the streets is talking versus like some surprising, oh, black men are really like a larger swath of black men are like actually pro Trumpers for real. And I
Yeah.
don't think most of the ones who even voted for Trump are MAGA. I now
Hmm.
that everything is said and done, the smoke is cleared, and of course hindsight is always 2020. We kind of like in the post-election like theory about what happened type
Right.
of
Right.
phase, but like the economy was the biggest topic on the campaign trail from jump. People are unhappy. I did not know that until like the whole rollout of all the stuff after the fact, but pretty much every developed nation's president that was the president during the pandemic all lost their elections this year because this was like a crazy year
Hmm.
of like global elections where it was like 80% of the nations in the world had like a big presidential sort of like
How cool
election.
is that?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And pretty much all we went the way of the rest of the world. Inflation, you can look at the economist stuff and I watch business news and yada yada yada. And sure, the market's doing great and these inflationary things that they talk about,
Right.
sure, that may be true. I'm not gonna argue with the numbers on that, but people realistically don't feel that. I can say even I don't feel it.
Right.
I got a decent job. It's not like I'm fucking falling through the cracks or nothing like that. But
Right. Right.
I
Right.
feel for people, the true working class folks that
Yeah.
really need their groceries to be cheaper and shit like that. I don't think that's going to happen under Trump's regime, but I
No.
understand people voting through their feelings and their pocketbooks before all the other identity politics and women's rights and queer and da da da. All of those things do matter. It's very rare that you're gonna get any sort of political candidate that's gonna like be perfect across the board with
Right.
all of anyone's morals and values. But yeah, it seemed like people's bank accounts was more important than whether or not they can, abort that baby.
And I think that sometimes you have to be careful what you ask for.
Mm,
For as black people, for a long time, we have been asking to not be only seen as black.
mm,
You know, and as a person that does identify as black before anything, Well, I don't know. I think I identify as a man before being black.
Really? Okay. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, because me being a man shapes my blackness. My blackness would be different if I was a woman. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? It would just be different if I was trans.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be different,
Mm-hmm.
but like so being a man shapes my blackness a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how I represent my blackness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Trump won because now we live in this era where you can be so many things.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to just watch like Stranger Things last season. I'm a huge
Okay.
Stranger Things fan. I don't know if
Okay.
you knew
Okay.
that. Huge
Okay.
Stranger Things
No, I
fan.
didn't, but that's tight. Okay.
Huge. Okay. And it's set in the 80s, right?
Right. 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 Right.
Back then you could be black and then you could be like a nerd. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You couldn't be like a black nerd that could hoop, that like rock.
Right. Right.
You could be
Right.
that now, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You could be so many different things. And I mean, I watched the All In podcast a lot, and they were showing a clip of Trump talking to at a Bitcoin conference.
Okay. Yeah, he's been rocking with the crypto community.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We got crypto bros, right?
Mm-hmm.
They identify with crypto before they identify with a lot of things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have people who identify with these other subcultures, maybe even microcultures, if we want to start
Mm-hmm.
using that language, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like Kamala showed that she could not understand, or her team could not understand, not only the black micro and subcultures that
Mm-hmm.
exist, but across America, they were only into like mainstream kind of culture. So to your
Yeah.
point,
Yeah. Yeah.
queerness, to
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
point, like this or that. And it's just like it's very hard for people of a certain age to
Mm-hmm.
accept that younger people identify as a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would agree with you in that capacity. I was just thinking of like how the internet is a thing that would have changed between the 80s and like where we are now. And we've seen web 1.0, 2.0, and now we're in like the 3.0 space. And just from going from forums and message boards for Nike talking shit like that, like you were a
Mhm.
sneakerhead through that back in the day. Now it's funny how some of these subcultures have shifted through the evolution of the internet and social media as well. Because now I feel like a lot of people consider themselves something just, I'll just stick with sneakerheads, a sneakerhead based off of acquiring a bunch of kicks and
Right.
like not necessarily like and getting what's hot, like the hype be shit, as opposed to like having your own informed opinion about shoes and your own personal taste and shit. I feel like that was something that used to be more of an emphasis back in the day. I've been seeing like this one tweet kind of go viral with quote retweets on my timeline talking about the homogenization of like romance alongside so many other aspects of our lives, where
Mm.
we're starting to see these carbon copy versions of
To
what
go
love is
viral.
supposed to look like, or your
Uh-huh.
interior is supposed to look like, your outfit. It's because we're bombarded with a lot of the same, images all the time. And, we work in an industry that really does perpetuate a lot of this stuff. We follow these trends from these consulting agencies, which I have a slight bone to pick with them anyway. I think a lot of them are hacks and scams for real, but they make a shit billions of dollars
Yeah.
given these things that were for instance, my big work project I was working on recently, I was telling you about it, whatever, with like the Gen Z trends and all of that. Do that goes well, yada yada yada. I built a lot of that from my gut and just like me being observant of what's going on in the world. Then I
Yeah.
go out there, had a lot of data to back it up, to really like proof point my shit, because it was still just instinctual first for me, but I
Right.
really have like an eye and a pulse on culture. So it's
Yes.
funny when Mintel does a presentation to our team of strategists this past week, and my director is like messaging me on the side like, oh, this is crazy, like, do you like a lot of the stuff you were talking about in your report is kind of like damn near extra validated now because Mintel did it. And I mean, it's kind of like, yo, nice. We're on the same accord. I
Mhm.
don't necessarily care that much about what Mintel has to say because I think a lot of squares work there and they don't really
Mhm.
be that hip or that tapped in. But it's just funny to see how your instinct can also be aligned with the hard data. without you needing the hard data to really back it up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and I
it's
think
the chicken
that's
before the egg kind of thing.
and that's the disconnect. Those same sort of consultancies and everything. Those are also people that help
Mm-hmm.
politicians on the political trail and shit. And I think one, just speaking to diversity and across all of these industries, it don't be enough of us up in the rooms, but also it's just kind of like we lean so much on the numbers and data, and we looking down at the numbers instead of up and around to look at the world that we actually live in.
Well, I think there could be a case of this is going to be funny, but in the Democrats, a lack of diversity, right? How
Mhm.
can you say you want to target a certain group if you don't, like you said, have that group represented in the room? So,
Right,
to a
right.
certain degree, you want to catch the hood dudes, you got to have a hood dude in the room
Yeah,
that's going to
yeah,
really
yeah,
keep it
yeah.
real with you.
Right.
You really do got to talk to Boosie if you want Boosie and
Mhm.
them to rock with you.
Right,
And
right,
that's
right, right.
and I think it's this disconnect of like almost is too highbrow. That's what makes politics unapproachable to a lot of people.
Yeah,
When like
yeah,
we talked
yeah,
about the
yeah.
last episode, I was like, that was a disconnect using Shannon Sharp for her
Mhm.
to, in my
Mhm.
opinion, because
Mhm.
I'm in that space. And it's just
Right,
like
right,
I know
right.
the type of people you're trying to talk to. That's why I'm like, yeah, that may be the biggest platform, but it's not for the biggest platform for the reasons you think. For
Right,
the better conversation is with
right,
Stephen A.
right.
Smith.
Yeah, yeah. The better conversation was absolutely with Stephen A. Smith for
You know
sure.
what I'm saying? Even just period, because he's a journalist.
Right, 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 right. Proper, like capital J
He's an
journalist.
actual
Yeah,
journalist.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
With the experience, the knowledge, and the
Mhm.
expertise. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And
Yeah.
so it's just like even small stuff. It's like, okay, I understand. I understand both sides of her not going to Texas to do Joe Rogan and Joe Rogan not saying, well, I don't really need to do your I don't really
Right,
need to
right,
go
right.
to
I
you
mean, I'm
either.
the biggest podcaster in the world.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think he
really
still should
need
have got on that flight, but that's just me. I would think like a journalist and be like, "Oh, of course I want to get the Kamala Harris interview like on my
yeah.
portfolio." But realistically, he doesn't need it for monetary gain, for no clout. No,
Yeah.
it's more for her to use that platform to reach his audience than it is for him to
Right.
expand his audience. Yeah,
Right. And so it's just like, but it's just like, yeah, I mean, in hindsight, black men showed up, young
right,
white
right.
guys showed up in a particular way. And it
Hmm.
was like, yeah, like that was a miss. You know what I
Right,
mean? Like
right,
when we
right,
just look at
right.
like if we were analyzing it like a football team, it's like, damn, yeah, look, y'all the block, y'all didn't block. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
Like we
right,
didn't
right.
prepare for them to do that. And it's just was
Type
like
shit.
she, the reason I brought up the all in though, to kind of close
Hmm.
my point, and like the Bitcoin and the bros and different
Hmm.
people, it's like, bro, if you're a young person and Trump says he's gonna fire the dude that's the head of the SEC, and now we're gonna have less regulations on Bitcoin, that is
Yeah.
enough for you to vote for him. Even
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
were a woman
especially as a
too.
young person.
No, but hold on.
Yes.
Even if you were a woman too, and you believe in a woman's right to choose, you
Hmm.
could feel like, well, I'm not gonna put myself in a situation where I have to choose. So I'm gonna
Mm.
think about myself
Hmm.
first and what I actually care about and what I'm prioritizing in this moment. And it happen could be money. It
Mm.
could be, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
I feel like people try to look at it like, as a woman, how could you not vote for the greater group of women?
Yeah, I mean, it is technically against their own best interest to vote for a motherfucker that's really about to, like, if you're in Mississippi, yeah, you're gonna be stuck in a bind. Like, women are
Right.
really dying and shit. So I get it when it's stuff like that, or even with the Hispanic community, because a lot more of them voted for
Oh,
Trump.
well, let's talk
Yeah,
about
I
that.
was not surprised about that, but
How
I was.
everybody
It was
hates Africans.
a.
Everybody hates Africans. And I did not realize it. I did not, like, I turned 34 this past October.
Hmm.
I can fully say that I fully understand now black hate and how proximity to whiteness creates this superiority complex that is not true, but people are dying to feed into.
Mm.
And I'm just like, I didn't know that it was that deep. The
Are you
proximity.
talking about Africans as in the broader black diaspora, or are you talking
I'm
about
talking about
Africans
the
as in African immigrants?
I'm talking about the broader black diaspora.
Okay.
That if
Okay.
you're depending on your mindset,
Okay.
You know, you could be a Mexican, you could be Cuban, you could be
Mm-hmm.
Dominican, Puerto Rican,
It should be black.
you could be black, but there are those same groups, nationalities that are not black,
Mm-hmm.
and they have come to America, and I'm saying their view on blackness.
Mm.
I didn't realize that they have this superior, like this complex to want to be next to white people that bad. When
Oh,
everything that they
yeah.
do in their life, in real life, the neighborhood that they live in, all the
The
space that they
slang, yeah,
cohabitate,
the clothes,
it's
the
made by black people,
rhythms. Yeah, yeah,
black
yeah, yeah.
Americans.
No, for sure. I mean, and that's why I love that phrase. I definitely didn't coin it, but I heard it and I've always used it ever since then. But anti-blackness is global, you know? And I think in a place like America, hold on one second. Let me shut this window. I hear
All right,
papers
I'm
start
sorry.
hammering.
All
Yeah,
right.
you know, anti-blackness is global, and in America, I will say, I was the first person I've heard say it. But if you ain't black, you white in America, and I really have just always felt that way. I
Yeah.
obviously that's not in an erasure type of sense. Clearly, other races exist, but like the dichotomy of race and like fucking identity in America is really folded up into like white
Well,
folk or
I
black folk
think
to
I
me.
don't even. You know what? I think that I used to think of it that way. I think it's
Mhm.
more so black people feel that way because we know with what certain groups, how certain groups of white people act
I mean,
towards
not
black
even just
people.
them. I'm talking about Hispanics and Asians too,
No, no,
because
no. But I'm talking
them
about in the
assimilate.
context. But I'm talking about in the context of America, right? In the
Mhm,
1950s or whatever, we
mhm.
had a black experience that was passed down to us,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But I'm just saying that to say we kind of that code, that language for us is embedded,
Mhm,
right? So now in this time period of 2024, you're a
mhm.
little black kid from the hood. Even you don't know no white people, but you know white people will get on bullshit with you.
Right, right,
You
right.
haven't even experienced it per se yourself, but that's just a feeling that you just know. And
Yeah,
I
it's
think that this
also a
group,
truth.
it's a right, it's our experience. That's what I'm saying.
Mhm,
For them being new to this country,
mhm.
they don't know that.
Oh yeah, no, for
And
sure.
so that's why we come up with the house nigga term and Uncle Tom and the brother, the XYZ get out. That's how those movies can
Mhm,
even exist because
mhm.
it's a complex that we dealt with.
Right, right,
For
right, right.
them, that's what I'm saying. Not knowing that you have to preserve your culture to a certain degree. Like you said, indigenous people voted for Trump.
Right, 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 right.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, oh yeah, like that's a different, deep seated kind of hate. And I'm only saying that because of Trump, not because they voted Republican, because of
Yeah, I
how
mean,
Trump has represented and wore his whiteness in his as a presidential candidate and president.
right, and I go back to it again because there's just a dichotomy. I have grace for people who are not necessarily black or white, like non-black, non-white people or whatever, because they definitely just kind of come into America. But what I'm saying is what America actually like the image that America projects to the rest of the world and how is it is seen when you envision the white picket fence in suburbia, like that's a white family you see. That's not a black.
Right,
That's not the Obamas. That is
right.
probably the Bushes or the Bidens or the Gateses or whatever. Long before you think of like a black family in that situation, and when you think of crime and poverty, things that are not our fault, we're very aware of. You know, the media and just the propaganda that's pretty much projected about inner city crime and African Americans, things like that. So there's also an othering that goes on it. And black immigrants come over here and do the same thing. We got plenty of black immigrant friends. And I'm sure you
Mhm.
probably had some conversations. I've definitely had plenty with their ass. They've told me their parents would be like, don't be like them, like the kids with the sagging pants or that listen to hip hop. So niggas couldn't really like enjoy a Nelly record back in 2003. Their parents were letting them listen to hip hop or whatever till they was
That's
damn near a
funny.
teenager.
Right.
But like that, I'm not saying it's their fault, but like as a means of survival, you have to adjust to whatever society and culture that you exist within now, like that your body is physically in. And of course, you know, like is Nigerian weddings are still a thing. You know, they still have their bank, like they still have aspects of their culture that will probably be maintained at least for maybe another 2 or 3 generations before it's just full on Americanized, like how everybody eventually becomes in America.
Right. Right.
But yeah, the aspiration of what you see as success, who you think is like a prominent executive or business leader, or what a
Right.
politician looks like, or all these other things. It, like that dichotomy of good and bad, yes or no, rich or poor, all those things go through kind of a lens of blackness and whiteness. And
Yeah.
that's, you know, that's 150 years in the making, long beyond us. But like, it is a thing.
Or
It is
Obama,
a thing.
at least. Because
Yeah.
you know, you have people who are voting age. If you're 25,
Hmm.
you've known a black president. You've known a
Yeah.
woman vice president.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that is a totally different experience that we had.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, not when we were 25, because I guess when we
Hmm.
were 25, we had Obama by then.
Hmm.
But I'm just, it was like the setup for it is totally different.
Right, 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 right. No, and I
You
mean,
know?
I think also speaking to what you were saying earlier, kind of about identity and really just intersectionality, like you not just black and a nerd. You could be a black nerd that's a cold gamer, and you who and you be fresh, but you like are into. So there's a multiplicity of things, and the internet affords people the opportunity to like form community through these different kind of like singular like channels as well. So you can exist within all of these spaces. And I think through social media, we've been able to kind of like allow people to be more than like this monolithic, like, oh, I'm a black businessman. Oh, like, you know,
Right,
I'm
right,
a girls gone
right,
wild, white girly, yada yada. Like, you can be that and like still become Paris Hilton in
right.
2020,
A
2024,
physicist.
2025.
Yeah.
And I think that's dope, but I am still grappling with, because I don't control it. So I'm sitting back and just observing how it goes. And I do, the lack of education and the investment in education that we've seen, I think, has also
Whew.
delayed a lot of progress. Because I want everybody to feel their identity or whatever. Like, I would
Right,
love to see more crazy rich Asians and fucking slumdog millionaires and fucking
right.
George Lopez and all this stuff. Like,
Yeah, we not
I'm ready for
hating.
the multiculturalness of America, but I mean, everything from the representation in media to the stars who get celebrated as sexiest man and woman alive to the prominent business leaders to who gets VC funding, all of these things is still like, it just skews so white and they own
I w-
everything.
Let me ask you a question.
Hmm.
Are you ready? And you'll understand what I mean. But we are in our mid 30s now, right?
Right.
Hope we live to be 100, right? So let's say in our 60s,
Okay.
are you ready to become the Native Americans?
This guy, I just had a conversation with somebody the other like a week or two ago, right around the election. Um, no, I don't think I think I would rather. I'm not big in like the FBA 8OC type of space. Like, I know about it, I see shit, and I
Right.
engage with people. But I don't want to claim that. I'd rather be an American descendant of slaves before I would refer to myself as like
No,
a
no, no,
Native
no. Okay, okay.
American.
You misunderstood my question. I
Okay.
don't mean like identify as a Native American. I
Hmm.
mean to have our existence in America
Oh, just be that deeply
replicate the Native
ingrained and all of
American.
that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Because when I
in
look at
30
it, right?
years, I'll be 60. So,
When I look at it, right, it's like,
uh,
well, I look at a person like Vivek,
okay.
right? As Black
Weirdo name,
Americans,
but yeah.
right? As Black Americans, white people have shown us too that they will pick not anybody but a Black American to do some shit they can.
Yes.
So they can
Yes.
find an African, if they can find an Asian, they can find, you know what I'm saying? They
Hmm.
will,
Hmm.
right? And so it's just like you said, with our education being so lost,
Hmm.
and for our young Black people in the hood, Black people always been in the hood,
Hmm.
but we got a group, we have an emotionally detached group of young Black men in the hood right now that
Hmm.
is like, even it felt like in the 90s and stuff, in the 80s, the killing was senseless, but at least it was
Hmm.
like, damn, they're having a drug war.
Right, 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 right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they're
Niggas
really
ain't getting
having,
that type of money no more.
bro, they're not even having drug wars. It wasn't
Yeah.
like Lil Durk is in jail. He wasn't like a Big Meech. Big
Right,
Meech
right,
was
right,
actually
right. A
like,
billion-dollar criminal organization.
he
Yeah.
had to be Damn, as an empire, these dudes are just like crashing out over like personal
Yeah,
vendettas, like
yeah,
personal
yeah, yeah,
beef.
yeah, yeah.
And hey, my brother ain't never been shot, and we in a gang war. So I don't. I'm not saying how I would. I am saying that I would not create a gang war if one of my siblings
It
were.
would hurt, and I definitely can relate to wanting to get your lick back. I can understand that pain, that frustration, but to simply just null and void your own potential in life and be like,
Yeah, I
fuck it,
couldn't end
I'm
my
gonna
life.
crash out. Like your bro, I
Yeah,
don't think your dead relative will want you because now their life is gone. They soul probably looking like, bro, don't do this. You got so much more you could be in life than to like
yeah.
do the exact same thing I did, and you disappear and become a memory before you old enough to drink.
You know what I mean? And so that group of young men, like they worried me because, you know, a lot since so many of them don't make it, they don't get the
Mhm.
opportunity to mature and be the next thing in their life.
Right, right,
You know what I'm
right, right.
saying? It's more so that. And so it's just like, I don't know how we keep the recipes. Our age group is gonna fight and keep them, but that's why I'm even bringing up the like people not identifying as black first. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And that's
yeah.
why the blackness idea is so important because, like you said, you got a group of young people that grew up doing Black Lives Matter
Mhm.
for then diversity and inclusion to be kind of ripped from them.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So like
yeah.
they don't learn black history like how we learn black history. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm,
they didn't grow up with
mhm.
those people who that was their identity first and foremost and the only
Right,
thing that they
right, right,
identified as. And
right,
that's like, we got friends, like you said, are immigrants and stuff like that.
right, right.
I talked to my friends from China about wanting to marry a Chinese woman,
Mhm,
wanting to keep that, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Which makes
As
you
you
have to
should,
do
I would encourage it,
but
I'm all
how it
for
feels
that.
to watch Chinese women, and not
Mhm.
all, we generalizing here,
Right, right,
want to
right,
date
right.
a non-Chinese guy, and that
Oh, no, it's a thing,
trying
it's a
to
thing, yeah.
keep that Chinese culture together in a foreign land is my
Mhm,
big part. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? And this is our homeland. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we do have our pockets, but I'm just saying though that like as America continues to add to the gumbo,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? We're not adding more black Americans. we
Unfortunately, bro,
you know
our
what I'm
we
saying?
like 13% right now. I looked at the projections for like 2045, 2050 as the Hispanic demographic continues to grow. We still gonna be at 13. And I just be like, damn, we gotta stop killing each other and take care of
I would
ourselves.
love for us to at least be able to maintain our 13 because we'll always be a minority. You know what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying?
yeah. But the way that the Hispanic population is growing, which I love that for them, come get your land back for sure. But it's like they're
Being
not a
Hispanic is
monolith.
being
Huh?
able to like, all right, I'm gonna take a tangent here. I'm gonna make a left here.
Okay,
You
okay, okay. Let me
oh,
finish this
go
out real
ahead,
quick.
finish it,
But
finish it.
yeah, I think for us, because even when I looked at some recently, like a month or two ago, the black immigrant population is going to contribute to 30% of whatever growth we do have. So it's like a multitude of like we gonna be dealing with our blackness is not a monolith on a bigger level as well. I do think in America, once again, America don't give a fuck if you Nigerian, Cuban, Mexican, like you're to us, unfortunately, you're a Mexican or you're a nigga. No, like the
Right,
cops don't care when they got to pull their gun out. They don't care if you fucking a Nigerian prince or Malik from motherfucking Baltimore. That don't
right,
matter in
right.
America. And I think because race is such a huge focal point in America, especially like for me, I would say my blackness informs the rest of my identity. Like I'm more inclined to talk to a woman or a queer person or a black immigrant or whatever on something that is like kind of universal about blackness. Or
Tribal.
honestly, if I'm like around non-black people, I get invited to some shit, I gauge and see, is this shit black enough? Because if it ain't black enough, I damn near don't go. Or I
Yes.
don't want to be there that long. So I'll be having
Mhm.
to gauge it off of that. So I understand where you coming from, and I definitely feel you. But I think for me, I do think about like the level of blackness and niggerness in it too, because I identify as black, but I also identify as a nigga.
Yeah,
And
I would
like,
identify as a nigga before a black if I could pick.
yeah, yeah, bro. And I think being a nigga is something like blackness, especially when we start incorporating like our immigrant people and all of that shit. Like, sure, I'm not here to argue who can even say the N word or not. Whatever, bro. We all black in that regard. I ain't tripping if a Nigerian say the N word, but being a
Yeah.
nigga is different than being a Nigerian for sure. And that's
Yes.
something that it's just a totally different experience. different level of identity, different cultures. You know, they talk about Black Americans have no culture. Black American culture is nigga culture.
And I mean, that's just a cop out to say. That's just completely made up.
Oh yeah, no, for
That's
sure,
like
for
the
sure.
dumbest thing. That's the dumbest thing you could
That
ever
is
say.
that's a level of anti-blackness right there. Cause fuck you mean, bro.
You're
Fuck
just
you.
saying something. You're
That's
just
why I
saying
don't even
something.
listen to Burna
There's a
Boy.
picture of Jackie Robinson behind me. You're just saying something.
Right.
What are you talking about, bro?
Niggas got Michael Jordan jerseys all over the world and no Michael Jackson songs. Quincy Jones just passed away.
What are we talking
R.I.P.
about?
to the GOAT. Like, come, we can talk about
Denzel
that.
Washington. Like we can like let's
Yeah.
stop. Let's stop. Okay. But no, the reason I was like taking a left with the Hispanic conversation is because, you know, so Hispanic people are what? Hispanic people
What
are
percent of the population?
no, like in proximity to like America. So our Cubans and like Dominican, they're Latino, right?
Yes, I
Latin
mean
America,
that
that's Latin
as of
America,
right
right?
now, that is still very much so funneled under the same
They the
HC and
same group.
Hispanic consumer market, we'll call it for
Hispanic and Latinos, right? They the same
yes,
group.
yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
If you're a
Okay.
Spanish speaking non-white, or you could be white Latino too. That's the
Okay.
whole thing.
So
And that it's funny because we
that's
don't
my
write the
point.
census. We don't
That's
write
my
the
point.
census, and they're gonna switch some shit up next time around. Cause like for Arab people, they're giving space for them on it. So it's gonna be like North African, Arab, Middle Eastern is like gonna be a new category.
Shout out to
And
them.
I'm like, what would that have been in the past? Not to say that they definitely want to stand on
Other.
business for their own shit, but like, what would America have seen them before that pops up as a category on the census? And they're going to expand on the Hispanic shit more too, as well. So it's going to be interesting seeing like what identity, quote unquote, looks like.
And I'm saying that to
Come
say,
2030.
to your point, right? Castro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Castro loved Malcolm X, right?
Mm-hmm.
Castro's, I want to say, grandmother or mother is from Spain. Castro was European, right? And so that's the thing that, like, when you start thinking about globalization, and like you said, oh, black people are coming under this guise of like, oh, you're moving into the house. Well, you know, the white people are mean. The Hispanics are coming in. The Hispanics are coming into the house like, well, I've seen the way the white people treat the black people. There's no way that they would treat me that way.
Right. And little do you know.
Right. I feel like the Asians, I feel like that's why Asians are split. Asians have that thing too, to where it's like, oh, you got some Asians who want to be hoi polloi and bougie about it and think that they on a, and you got the Asians that's like, no, they tripping.
Right.
I know what time it is. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that was you. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No. But I'm just saying that process is going to take place over the next 4 years for a lot of groups.
Yes. I'm very interested in seeing what this Trump administration looks like, because I mean, I'm being extra with it, but it kind of broke my heart seeing how them Asians was trying to get that DEI shit struck down, and they got duped. They asked black people who still was getting admitted. Everybody else, the Asian shit dropped after they took away that shit.
Fucking
and white legacies bumped back up again. I'm like, bro, they got y'all. Like,
but you know why? Hold on. But you know why too? That's the thing. That's what I'm saying. And my point about the Hispanics, and maybe even for blackness, right? Because right after my blackness and all these other things, at some point is an American.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And so now that when you bring, like you said, this Americanness, that for white people and black people is entrenched in what we do. For some Hispanic groups, you're starting off. The Indian groups, you're starting off. It's not entrenched yet.
Right.
We got some Jewish people that has a long legacy here, certain religious groups and stuff like that. But that those American roots ring off.
Yes.
And it's like you cannot skip us in that line. We have a legacy at these schools.
Yes.
We have legacy in we have stake in these things, whether or not they are properly represented or not. The truth is still the truth. And that was a perfect example of y'all got caught up in the marketing that you just made up. You know what I'm saying? Because white people already had to deal with us. White people already dealt with niggas.
Right.
We didn't already been through that fight.
Niggas had to deal with white people.
We'd already been through that fight. You know what I'm saying? So we not kind of tripping off each other in the same way. That's what I'm saying. Oh,
Right,
I
right,
didn't know that
right,
y'all was
right.
really tap dancing for white people like that. I didn't know that
Mhm.
that was in y'all heart. I thought y'all was coming over here just trying to do you and figure it out for yourself. I didn't
Exactly.
know that y'all thought that there was some type of other thing in the room.
Right, right, right. But when you are 3% of the population, so you get no represent. That's what I'm saying. Like they don't get representation because I also think about the power of media, not just general media, because that's powerful in itself, but like mass media and the propaganda that we've seen over the last
Mhm.
100 years or so. Like I think about minstrelsy. Like they weren't really doing like fucking Asian minstrel shows. Like that was just they was just making fun of and parodying niggas,
Right.
blackface. Like it wasn't
Gandhi hated niggas. So
right, 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 right. So like there's a whole other thing that is unique and specific to the African American and how those images get portrayed over time through, the different
continue.
tropes and shit, the
Yeah.
mammy and yada yada yada, and the big strong black man that don't actually have no intelligence, so on and
Mhm.
so forth. And we see how the back and forth tug of war between like art reflecting life and then life reflecting art in a lot of ways kind of happen specifically through the lens of blackness and whiteness
Yeah.
still goes on to this day, but like it's so much more like the media landscape itself is way more expansive. Plus, you have the internet and social media. And
Mhm.
on top of that, we just kind of in a new era of like size of population. Like the
Yeah.
black fucking voting block is like 20%. Like it'll probably remain around that for a while. But like, yeah, the Hispanic shit was 30%. And
Mhm.
by the next time they come around, they're gonna be close to 50%, bro. Like they're growing, but they don't have. I mean, they have a Univision and shit like that, but like that crossover thing, like Bad Bunny is Bad Bunny, but he not Nelly either for some reason. Like he not there just
Yeah,
yet.
because I'm saying because that music is not American.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
exactly,
American.
exactly,
And I guess that's
exactly.
what I'm saying. It's like white people have shown that they are here to fight for their Americanness. And
America First is also a Trump
that's what I'm
tagline. Yeah,
saying.
yeah, yeah.
Black people are very vulnerable to fall into that group and become
Mm-hmm.
America first because our blackness is tied to only
To America.
America. And
Mm.
so if I was a politician, like that's what I would, yeah, like you're American. These
Right,
other
right,
motherfuckers
right,
want to
right.
do all this other shit. Yeah, yeah. What about America? Your grandmother's from Louisiana. Your
Right,
grandfather's from
right, right,
just,
right,
and they
right.
gonna say, just like mine.
Right,
We
right,
lived here together. And I'm
right.
saying that is true.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
in
No, that's
in
the
a
thing.
very unique way that no other country kind of has when in
Mhm.
terms of black people. Like even
Mm.
Jamaica, like the white people just left. Haiti, they just
Mhm.
left.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Where it's just like, well, no, Mississippi, it's been us. It ain't
Yeah,
been
yeah,
no
yeah, yeah.
Indians. It ain't been no Mexicans. So it's gonna get to a point to where white people can co-opt to be like, hey, black people, this is
Right.
bullshit, ain't it?
Right, 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 right.
And
And
I
I mean, we've already seen it because even with the immigration backlash that's been going on the last like year or two, especially in the bigger cities, like motherfuckers in New York City and Chicago are really upset. I'm not one of them, but I've seen the clips on the news and on the
Mhm,
internet and people
mhm.
yelling at City Hall. They've also, which I do find very fucked up, they have kind of like they as in government entities have kind of just dumped them many times, like in black neighborhoods. They're not putting them in Lincoln Park. They're
That's
not
my
putting them in
point.
Central West End. They're not putting
And
them
then
in
they end up, and then they talk about they
the
hate
Upper West
niggas.
Side. Yeah,
And then
yeah,
y'all
yeah, yeah.
hate niggas. And I'm just saying that like they have no idea that like how inclusive black people are.
Right,
That
right,
is that
right,
is
right.
probably the one thing that has kept America as such a great nation is black
Mhm.
people's inclusivity.
Yeah.
Black people don't
And
want to be
forgiveness
ran
as well. I
over.
think we've forgiven a lot more than we probably
But
should have,
even
but
outside of forgiveness, like if you Indian and you come around some black people, okay, I'm just using that as an example. Yeah, we may not know how to pronunciate your name correctly because we haven't been exposed to your
right,
culture
right,
yet.
right, right.
But we gonna let you be yourself.
Right,
We
right,
gonna
right, for
let you.
sure. We
We
never
got
gonna
jokes.
try to fuck with you. Come
We
on.
got jokes, but we like, well, shit,
Right,
bro. Like,
right,
what's up?
right,
Versus
right.
like with you, like we know the experiences of black kids, other kids going to
Mhm.
even just school with white kids. It's
Mhm.
just like it's a lack of inclusivity that's just naturally built into their culture. That's just different
Right,
than our culture, and it was
right.
forced upon us. I'm not saying that
Mhm.
I ain't saying I don't know. Black people just morally or whatever, however you want to put it. It's something
I
that
do
we
think that
have.
we are very much so like I think we are naturally a loving and inviting people.
It's just our group. You know what I'm
I,
saying?
I, I refer to us as equator people.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah,
so as just a black, like you said, the descendants of slaves, like we're very inclusive. And like you
mhm.
said, those groups, nobody has been inclusive back with us. And I'm just like, we're gonna run out of space. We're gonna run out of land eventually. So what are, and to your point, well, we're gonna stay at 13%. We're not going anywhere.
Right,
So are
right.
we gonna see this internal cultural clash? Will we, you know what I'm saying? Will the small
Mhm.
towns come back? Because everything is cyclical, you know?
See, this is it's crazy that you mentioned because like I don't. I don't fuck with conservatives just in a general sense for real, for real. Not say I'm like hella liberal either. What I would like to see is a lot more progressive shit. I know people like say liberal's a bad term now, yada, without all of the semantics, all of that shit. But like the
Mhm.
black conservative, like core people, it's certain shit I fuck with from a philosophical standpoint from them. Like, all right, cool. They like them white folks got guns. I'm gonna give me some guns too. Let's get us some
Yes.
land. Let's build our own shit. That
American shit.
pull yourself up by the bootstraps. Very like inherent conservative ideology. I do fuck with when black conservatives be on that. I'm not here to like discriminate against people, pick on them, all the other shit that sometimes may come with it. But like the gun rights activist motherfuckers, the niggas that be homesteading with their own black farm and homeschooling motherfuckers, like I think there's a lot that we can actually unify as a people and learn from one another and work together with. And sometimes that's really what we kind of are also super like just disbanded into all these little sectors as well. And it's like, yeah, the same way that like they were talking about the elites don't fuck with the working class from like a democratic perspective. I think the same thing a lot of times about like the college educated blacks versus like the hood niggas a lot of the time.
Mhm,
I used
mhm.
to I would get into it with homies from time to time, but I would be like, it's niggas that read books and it's niggas that read books. And like it's a different type of thing within that or whatever. But when niggas start getting like a little too hoity-toity with the intellectualism, and it's like, oh, I don't know if you like talk to your cousins or if you still know a nigga that's like struck, like, cause niggas will get that bread and that degree and like go work in tech or finance or some shit and don't go fuck with
Mhm.
niggas no more. And it's like you be struggling because there's not a lot of people in your sector, so you don't really have a lot of friends and allies in your industry, but you also like put all this work in, you got this degree, you got like goals you're trying to achieve and shit, and it leads you down this weird place of like isolation. I got a couple bougie relatives that I only see if lucky once a year, but maybe every couple of years when it's a family reunion and shit. I know a lot of black people got them type of bougie relatives as well, or whatever you want to call them. I'm just gonna call them bougie, but it's like,
Right,
oh,
right,
like
right.
you all the way over there. Your kids go to like to the really nice private school. Y'all like really out in like the burbs. Like
Mhm.
most of my cousin friends or whomever is like white for real. You play soccer, maybe think now if you biracial, it's even deeper because you might not even know how to do your hair and shit. Like it's a whole lot of like
Yeah.
layers to like
Mhm.
culture that I think it simmers and it boil like the gumbo comes to a boil in the ghetto essentially, like where
Yeah.
the majority of black folk in America are, and not to say the ghetto as some sort of derogatory bad term. It's really just we in the hood, baby. This is
Yeah.
where we at. We in
Lower
hard.
income. Low income.
Right. You better sue me. And that's a thing for a lot of us because statistically, most of us are below or like we middle class to below for real, for real. It's not a lot of upper
Mhm.
class black folks. So of course that's not where our culture gonna be. That's not where our population is.
Right.
And I think
And
like still having to be able to go to check like and the niggas who make it up out there when they have kids and shit, I feel like sometimes they'll try to like put their kids in that situation so they don't lose that about them. But like you really kind of gotta be around that shit for real, for real.
yeah.
Like if
Yeah.
we went to a similar pipeline of schooling and all that other type of stuff, but like
Mhm.
I'm happy that I went to Cardinal Ritter versus like DeBerg or something because that was the other option. I was gonna go to DeBerg with my homies from middle school at Tower Grove, which was not
Mm.
a predominantly black middle school. But my parents was like, "No, we want you to go around some black kids." So going to an all black Catholic high school, which isn't a lot of those in the country anyway, that was a very unique experience. But that shit informed so much of who I am now, and I'm super grateful that my people put me into that school or whatever. And we was still on the north side. And when we moved to the south side, we was still like it was still black kids in the neighborhood. We could have been in a different part of the south side where it's mostly white folk. You know, them parts of the south, it's more of those parts on the south side for real, for real.
Now,
and that's the whole thing. So I'd be like grateful that my parents made those sort of decisions, because I could have been one of them niggas that, you know, went to a different school and didn't really like have a lot of black friends. With I got cousins, but being able to, you know, meet you coming around the corner to my school and shit like that wouldn't have happened if I didn't go to Cardinal Ritter.
That's real. I think that proximity, like you said, to an old education system that lended us the ability, I'll say, speak from the public school, to have teachers of a certain caliber that had a certain level of expertise and those type of things. Definitely, no matter if you were low income, you still had an opportunity. And that opportunity feels like it's not there for a lot of us because of the way that the public education is set up. And that is something that like is deep seated, and what Trump and them are trying to do by getting rid of the Department of Education and stuff like that. People are in for a rude awakening.
Bro. It's gonna be gruesome.
And especially for special needs kids, that's who I really feel the worst for. You know what I'm saying? Because there's the opportunities, like you said, that they're not gonna have, because if you leave shit to state level oversight, we know how shitty it could be. You know what I'm saying? That's why sometimes the feds are needed. And I'll say that, you know, loosely, but with regulations of certain things, that federal oversight makes a huge difference.
And no, so, it does for sure, man.
But like you said, that man, you fall into that blackness where you only view blackness, like you said, like having to deal with black people in the hood, right? Not looking across, not trying to expand your black network with more the like-minded people. Because to your point, even though it's not a lot of this, I do know other black people in the positions that I'm in.
Yeah. And it's good for us to be able to network with each other and damn near really hold each other accountable as well. I don't want to nudge niggas down a particular like vision of blackness. I just also see a lot of the nigginess disappear when you start to veer too far away from it. It's like, nah, bro.
I mean, you seen the jokes niggas been making about Afro-Tech.
It tastes a certain way. I'm not eating green bean casserole for Thanksgiving. I'm not doing it.
Never.
But I just recently got offered some green bean casserole from a black woman, and I was like, damn, okay, this is interesting. It might have been good, but I'm like, auntie, I ain't try her to do it. I wasn't hungry as well at the moment, but a green bean casserole in the workplace is not the place for me to introduce.
No. Oh, you didn't say it was at work. It was at work. I thought you at somebody's house.
My girl, she sometimes referenced that one meme, whatever, and they'd be like, "Don't try nothing new on Thanksgiving." Like that's
nothing.
That's fucking new. Yeah.
That's real.
Same with the cookout, you know. Now on a Tuesday night, if I'm over for dinner, I'll try your shit, and we got to let the word spread so niggas know how you coming. But don't just throw no green bean casserole down on Thanksgiving out of nowhere. Talking about a new recipe,
not a full dish at least.
Right. A little sample, you know, like I'm doing this and trying to eat healthy. Yeah, all right, cool. I can get with this quiche.
Put a little squirrel over there. Let me try. I'm gonna try a couple of.
I like.
Don't bring a full pan. Don't bring a full pan of that shit, bro.
Type shit.
Taking up space. You crazy. Man, okay. Well, speaking of craziness in America, did you watch the Tyson Jake Paul entertainment hour?
Yeah.
I will say the fights before them were really good, actually. I watched like two of the opener fights.
I only saw clips of the fights before. I was damn near, I think, maybe watching basketball before that. Or like
the Lakers was on and shit.
Football. Yes.
The Lakers was on. They beat the Spurs.
Yeah, but I did tune in for that. One of the homies came through, so we was also chopping it up, and we was just looking. It's like some felt different about it to me. Anyway, granted, this is a Netflix thing, so I knew it was gonna be a lot of pomp and circumstance
and a Jake Paul thing.
Blah. Right, exactly. I didn't even realize because somebody like did a tweet and broke down like all the current ages of everybody. He fight hella old dudes. Like he actually don't be fighting younger cats. I'm like, so you really cheating anyway. And the one time he did fight the younger dude, he actually got his ass beat. So I'm
Yes,
like,
because he
okay,
can't fight that good, and he's a wrestler. He's doing wrestling
right.
entertainment. He's an entertainer.
The theatrics of it all, like that was tight to see him come out with the
The
Phil
birds.
Collins.
I saw you tweet that. I saw you
Saturday
tweet
Night.
that shit. I saw
That
you
was
tweet that
hard.
shit.
I'm not gonna lie, but that's the theatrics of it all. And I like a little bit of showboatiness or whatever. I think black folks we're very opulent, expressive people ourselves. So I'm here for some of that glitz and glamour of it all. But yeah, you still need to be able to back that shit up, bro. Like Mike be out there talking shit. He'll say some real wild shit to you or get very offended when you say the wrong thing to him. He'll do your ass in because he's technically skilled. Brian
Yeah.
out here doing hella triple doubles and dunking on niggas and looking down like, get off me, nigga. Like, it's certain shit that we could do that, like, yeah, Jake, I just still don't see it for bro, but I'm happy that both of them got paid. I wish Mike would have got the equal amount, but I get it. 20 mil, you still up. That's tight as hell. I can't
Yeah.
wait for the new podcast season to come back because I'm sure it's
What
gonna
they
be
say Jake Paul made.
40.
Woo.
40. And
I
I
mean, that's
mean,
real.
maybe bigger draw, all things considered.
I mean,
You
it's his
followers.
ideas. It's his ideas.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was his idea.
So think about it, like
Okay.
Jake
So did he
Paul.
did
I
he
mean,
produce it? Was he like a promoter for it?
basically because he's the
Okay.
YouTuber. I mean, this was like we're talking about the dude that was the top YouTuber in 2018, 2019, 2020,
Type
2021.
shit, type shit,
You know what I'm
type shit.
saying? So it's just like the whole idea. Who else would even be crazy enough to even try? Nobody else was even crazy enough to want to get in the ring with Mike Tyson. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? On some like this is like Jackass going all the way to its limits, kinda.
Right.
This is really all it is. It's like
Right.
Jackass culture, which at the time nobody could think that would be mainstream normal America. It's Jackass.
Yeah, I mean, and as a fan, shout out Tower Grove. I got into my skateboarding and my jackass and all that shit, going to school with them white folk. That was my shit. Also, we
Man,
just kind of hit in that era of like MTV and all that. Bring that back, matter of fact, Viacom,
man.
Paramount. But no, I think what the new version of that is like the whole red pill, young man, manosphere, Jake Paul, Joe Rogan, fucking Trump MAGA, like fucking what's buddy name? The nigga that got arrested. Oh yeah, nigga. He
The
was
ball
sex
head.
trafficking the girls over in Romania. He
You talking about?
he be wearing the sunglasses and be giving like dating advice and shit. He was very like white.
I don't
He
even
was
be
like white
knowing.
Kevin Samuels.
Not Jason Peterson. Is that?
No. That nigga
I
get
know
on
who.
my nerves
I know who
personally.
you're talking about though. I don't
Yeah,
even
yeah,
know
yeah.
them niggas'
I
names
don't
though.
be tuned into the shit. I be aware of it, but like I
But I
don't be
know who you're
giving them
talking
niggas no
about. I know who you're
airtime and
talking
stuff.
about.
Yeah. But like
Goofy
all
ass
of that shit
niggas.
is like interconnected. Like that is a whole realm of it. Like even talking to young brothers, like they be in that realm as well. Like that's just
I mean, I guess
broader, like
technically I
media
would be in
content.
it because I listen to like Andrew Schultz and Joe Rogan.
And I don't really listen to Schultz that much anymore. I'll like look at a clip, but I was big into Brilliant Idiots maybe mid 2010s or whatever.
Yeah, I'm
Back
still
when
into
it was
Pretty
like
Idiots.
damn,
With
R.I.P. Loki
Wax.
O'Shea, man. Yeah.
With
Combat
Wax.
Jack.
Yeah, yeah.
Man. But like that's how I got into the read and all the other stuff as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like he had the whole podcast network, and I
Yeah,
was like,
the
oh, this
whole
is the
shit.
future. And everybody's still eating and all of that. So that's really cool. But like that particular like media landscape for young black men, what that's looking like or whatever. And I don't see necessarily so much of in the sports realm. I think like the athletes can kind of like tell sports stories for real. I don't watch so much of it where
Yeah.
like I catch a significant amount of those sort of philosophies. It's more like a boys will be boys, like God talk type of
Pat
situation
McAfee
over
is
there.
kind of on that line.
Yes, I be seeing more clips of him because I don't be watching his shit. I be catching the news more so than I'm gonna watch Pat McAfee. But I've seen a few times he said some controversial shit
Right.
already. I'd be like, dude, tweaking, but he must be getting hella bread if they ain't let his ass go yet for the times I've seen him on
And yeah,
headline.
he has a huge draw. Like he's
Yeah.
one of those
Okay.
people that like he's I mean, that was smart at ESPN to
Mm.
grab him. It's the equivalent of like MTV or Viacom getting Joe Budden back. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh,
if
okay.
Viacom was like, we're gonna give Joe Budden a show every week, it's like, yeah, niggas will tune in and figure it out and watch it.
Damn. Okay.
Like Pat
Be like
McAfee
that.
is like that
Okay.
with white.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why it's sports, you know what I mean? So for ESPN to have him, like it just mean it say what it say, it mean what it mean. I
Yeah,
think
because
that
they're not gonna give the barstool niggas no shit.
I guess my whole thing like with that is like again, society not knowing how to talk to young men. That's what I'm taking away the biggest
Yeah,
from this
yeah,
election
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah,
that
yeah. No, for
society does
sure.
not know how to talk to young men who they have, for all practical purpose, like you said. The Me Too movement was not about young men. That
Right.
was about a previous generation who adapted bad behavior from a previous generation who
Hmm.
decided to live that out knowing that it was wrong too,
Yeah,
right? They
yeah,
thought
yeah,
they could get away with it and they got their hands caught in the jar.
yeah. And powerful people were a lot more. I think also the fact that like they were older and not necessarily didn't. They grip wasn't as tight on the game as it used to be.
Right.
I think there
But
was a lot of coercion and like fucking intimidation that went on
and
with
and I'm saying that because it's like listening to conversations like, they're saying if Robert Kennedy and Trump want to get rid of big pharma being
yeah,
able to
yeah, yeah,
advertise,
yeah.
right? And
Right.
it's like, I heard somebody make a good point. It's like the government doesn't like big tech companies because the big tech companies can influence in the way that the government used to.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so you got the tech companies and the governments fighting each other over influence over the people.
Right, right. And a
And
lot of
it's
them are the new media companies as well. Like
they are the
YouTube
media
is the
companies.
most viewed shit for most millennials as well as all of Gen Z. They on that and
Facebook,
TikTok. Yeah,
Twitter, like that's
yeah,
how you get in the
yeah.
news. Even if you
Mm-hmm.
follow the media company,
Mm-hmm.
the news outlet on
Mm-hmm.
there, you're getting the news on these
Mm-hmm.
platforms. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, Meta deciding to get out of politics, which I think was smart. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? We see why Elon Musk decided not to. And I mean, that was smart of him to use
He
that as a
influenced
political
the results
tool.
of the election for sure. I don't know. I know that they're talking about like the paying and like rigging algorithm shit, but I mean just him owning X alone. He
Yeah.
influenced a
Him,
lot of the narrative this campaign season.
bro,
He knew
them
what he
just
was
not
doing.
doing the industry standard. If
Mhm.
Jack Dorsey and them was still owning it as Facebook, when Zuckerberg and them got out of it, industry standard, they would be like, okay, well, we out of it too.
Right, 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 right,
Because that
right.
sounds like not to go reverse and take advantage of it. You know what I'm saying? And,
Mhm.
I do think that there's I hate to be this way, I guess, because some mean, tough 20th century niggas raised me. But it's like, there is a thing as being too soft. And
There
there's
he
a thing
is.
as
There
it's
he is.
thing
There
is
he
it's
is.
a, and it's a thing of being too hard too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? And so you don't want to have this group of young people who like don't have backbones and are afraid to speak their uh, disagreement of things because young people have to realize that like people being against me being black is what helped my blackness.
Mm,
The opposition helps you. I'm
mm.
not saying that you should have to deal with hate, physical violence, or anything like that, but
Right, right.
opposition helps you understand why you want something.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? Like it helps, it makes you better at the thing that you are. It helps you take pride in it. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
So if everybody is just everything, then nobody is nothing
Right, right,
because
right.
it means
Exactly.
something. That's why documentaries
Or
like
also, I say as well, like it was some old George Carlin shit or whatever. R.I.P. One of the goats, but he would do like a spiel talking about like we over baby, like it was in maybe the 90s or the early
yeah,
2000s. He had a bit, but like about over pacifying our children and like everybody gets a gold star. And it's like realistically speaking, some of you kids are going to be losers. Not everybody in here is a fucking winner or so
no.
special. And it's a hard thing to do because me as a parent, I would want to instill that sort of confidence in my child. So, and I don't have no kids yet, but I know that it's a hard line between that and reality is
I
where,
mean, it's the thing of like reality, bro. You're 12,
yeah.
you're 13, bro. I'm gonna let you know you suck at the drums.
Right, right,
Now
right,
you have
right,
an
right, right.
opportunity to get good at the drums
Right, 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 right.
because I
And like
told you
I'm
you
also
suck,
sitting here to support you in something new, but like, come on, let's try something new.
or get good at the drums.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You
You
know what I'm
gotta
saying? Like
that work, you gotta put in that
my
work.
dad told me in the fourth grade, damn, bro, you can't dribble. I'm not gonna let you play. So unless you learn how to dribble, and it's like, damn, that's real. It's
Is that
like,
something that helped you act like do you feel like that
yes, because then I
put
learned how to
more
dribble.
passion for basketball? Like, do you think that helped instill that
Yes,
extra love of the game
because it
into you?
was like, oh
That's
wow, I do want to play. So it was like kind of a thing of like, well, just show me how bad you want to play. I'm not just gonna have you be out there.
right,
It's not
right,
gonna be
right,
fun for you.
right,
It's just not gonna
right,
be fun. You're
right,
wasting your time, wasting our time, kind of. You
right, right,
smart.
right,
You could
right,
just be
right,
reading books, doing something else. You don't gotta go do
right,
this. You know what I'm
right.
saying? And so it's just like, dang, okay, no, let me show you that I really want to do it. And I put
Mm,
my time and effort towards it. And it taught me how to put time and effort towards other stuff. But it was
mhm,
just like if I
mhm,
don't never get the opportunity to overcome the obstacle,
mhm.
that's that's what every movie that we grew up watching. I'm
Yeah.
Hercules.
I mean,
Remember
shit,
now?
that's kind of what success, quote unquote, is like about as well. I feel like, you're
Yes,
not going to achieve anything great without overcoming adversity and obstacles. And that's even if you have privilege. Like, it still requires a level of luck. Like, you can be rich as shit and still not know how to like grow a business,
bro.
because it takes more than just throwing money at some shit,
You,
honestly.
you
So
know what I
it
mean?
still takes hard work, dedication, and figuring that shit out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so we look at a person, ending it on the Mike Tyson thing. It's like you look at a
Mhm.
person who spent his life becoming a master at something. I
Yeah.
I think that this definitely put Jake Paul in a position to continue to be a sports entertainer, maybe
Yeah.
even potentially a promoter. But I
Mhm,
think that
mhm.
this fight in particular was too far
Too far as
because
in the fight went too far, or what you mean by too
I
far?
think too far down the like his spectacle route. Like
Mm.
wrestling worked because it was always that little tinge of like, well, this is real.
Right, right, right,
You know what
right.
I'm saying? Even when you got the old niggas fighting the young niggas, the old niggas never beat the young nigga. Randy Orton,
Right,
kick
right,
your
right.
ass because I'm fucking 27. I'm gonna kick your
Right,
ass.
right, right,
Even if
right.
we're doing it for show, I'm gonna kick your ass for show.
Mhm.
And so it kept that element alive where it's just like,
Mhm.
you're 27, he's 58, you should have whooped his ass. But you couldn't whoop
Right.
his ass. So now we know for sure all of them are spectacles. I don't think that you get the general population again, like how he got it.
Yeah, no, I mean it was also Mike fucking Tyson, who's like a pop culture icon and sports
Yes.
icon on top of like being one of the greatest
But it
boxers.
takes a lot for sports fans to feel bad for somebody. And the sentiment
Yeah.
that I got for a lot of sports enthusiasts who
Mhm.
were giving Jake Paul their time, because that's what he's losing. He's going to lose the sports enthusiasts. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, Mike Tyson's like an old man in there. And he wasn't
Yes. And I
fighting
mean,
another
looking
old
at it,
man to make us be like, well, they're competing.
they both, yeah, exactly,
That
exactly.
wasn't, that's what I'm saying. Like, that wasn't competition.
Right. No, for sure. But also,
And
and I
you have
mean,
to fake
I was
competition even if
feeling
you are too. That's all.
I was feeling the same way about a lot of what Roy Jones was saying, like in the moment watching it.
I
But I
couldn't hear
also
Roy
saw
Jones. Like people was talking about what was Roy Jones saying. I was watching that
I
bootleg
mean,
for a minute.
he was just saying like, look, oh, he kind of sounded like he felt bad about it. It was a little overcritical in my humble opinion, because Roy Jones is a nigga who used to get his ass beat more,
Right.
quite a
Right.
bit. So it's
Right.
like whatever. But he's also a professional, experienced boxer.
And he
So
was a
like,
champ
I'm
too.
listening.
Roy
Yeah,
Jones
I'm
was the
still
man. He
listening
was the
to him
man.
and shit like that.
His
But you can see like Tyson, he wasn't really on his feet. But basically, after the fact, the contract got leaked. There was like a no knockout clause, and early on in the fight, Tyson kind of came out looking like he was ready to boom, boom, boom. I thought personally, just off of age alone, he had 2 or 3 good rounds of that up in him. But I could see Tyson's experience, like I could see his experience still showing. Like
mm-hmm.
he was doing certain shit. I think Jake Paul was definitely quicker than him, but Tyson could have got in a little bit more for real. It looked like he was kind of easing up. It was a
Yeah.
little clip that came out. It went on TikTok or whatever. I saw it on Twitter, but
Tongue
they
out.
look. It was a thing of like Jake Paul kind of signaling the mic, like, "Hey, like chill." I'm sure it was a "don't knock each other out" clause. They be having those sort of clauses in contracts and shit as
Yeah.
well, where it could have been any person's game, but don't knock each other out. And I think if Tyson would have been on that pit bull shit, and people were talking about like how he was biting his glove or whatever during it, or whatever. I know Roy Jones and Rosie Perez kept talking about in the actual like boxing commentator was like, he's been doing that a lot. Then they asked Mike about it after the match. He was like, oh, it's just something I do. And in my head, I'm like, oh, well, if he's been doing it forever, that's just what he does as a boxer. So I
Right.
get that, but it was damn near like he was like trying to contain the demon, because Mike will bite. He would do other shit. Like he's still a rough nigga. And looking at them training videos, he definitely was. He can be quicker than what he was doing out there in the ring. Like
Yeah.
them training videos still showed that the nigga got it. But yeah, I think for sure, especially if Jake Paul got 40 million, there was a no knockout. I can believe that.
I
I
mean,
can
I
believe
know it
that.
had to be a no knockout clause so he could just do it again. If he
Right,
gets knocked
right.
out by any of these boxers, Floyd, all these other people,
Yeah.
then it's just like that ruins what he's trying to actually get
Right,
accomplished.
right,
And
right,
I
right.
think, like, I mean, he's gonna have to quit doing it sooner or later because he's
Mhm.
27 now. You know what I'm saying? He that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like this is the peak of what he was doing. Like,
Yeah.
this is the
He not
time to
really a
pivot.
boxer. Like he not that. It's a
Yeah, he
particular
can
like,
fight. He can fight.
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But it's like that's what I'm saying. Like sports entertainment. Like I watched I suggest you watch the McMahon documentary on Netflix.
Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Okay, where
Vince
I check
McMahon
it out.
documentary is hard, bro.
Okay, okay.
Hard, bro. I'm not
I've
even
seen
gonna.
other ones about him and just like the
Nah,
history
nah.
of the
This one is
WWs,
this one
but
is. I was locked in. I was on vacation watching that bitch. It was that good. I was on
mm,
vacation, like damn. Like I got to get a couple episodes in at this Vince,
damn.
you know.
Okay, that's tight. That's
And
tight. That's
so,
tight.
no, it talks a lot about sports entertainment. It talks a lot about like that the thing that is wrestling is and how you keep competition and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
that's what I'm saying. I feel with Jake Paul alone overall trying to create like the Globetrotters, right? Globetrotters don't
Right.
lose, but you know they're not it's not a competition when you watch that, and
Yeah,
and that's what I'm saying. He was using the element of competition as a draw to make sports enthusiasts try to take what he was doing as a boxer seriously. And
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I think that this one might have been an overstep in people being like, oh, let me give this a competition watch. Because there was people watching this like it was a boxing match.
Mm-hmm,
Like who watch
mm-hmm.
boxing or like who people who
Right.
watch the
No,
tank
for
fight.
sure, for
And it
sure.
was like, oh,
That was
they're
the
not
truth.
going to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm,
Because like you
mm-hmm.
said, whether they were faking it or whatever it was like, oh, as the sports enthusiasts, people who watch boxing, they're like, oh yeah, Mike Tyson, look at his leg. Like he can't, his leg hurt. Now you look like this young dude in here with this old man. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are we doing here? I feel like it was too much of that kind of like, oh, well, what are we doing here? Actually, what am
Yeah,
I actually
true.
supporting here? You know what I'm saying?
That's also why it was better it was on Netflix. It wouldn't have been good as a pay-per-view thing. They went to the right fucking studio to play. Now Netflix been
Yeah.
trying to get into live events for a while, so because also the band they need better servers. Like they need to update that shit if they want to keep trying it. They
And I
definitely have
think
some
that they definitely when it's
gaps.
time to put the money into it, they'll put the money into it.
Right. And I mean, like this is kind of a proof of concept situation. I feel
Hell
like,
yeah.
yeah,
Super successful for them.
because even
Super
like some of their
successful.
earlier live comedy events had some hiccups along the way. But that's what happens. So my homie was over and I was just telling him like, because he was like, it's just a multi-billion-dollar situation. Like they should have all of this covered. And I'm like, bro, it's still people. And honestly, when you work in the corporate, you realize how many
Bro,
niggas don't really know what they doing.
bro.
Beyonce be firing niggas. Michael Jackson would fire niggas that he was touring with because you fucked up, but like mistakes happen, bro. So like them not getting the audio track correct or whatever. Like this is the
Right.
first big production they did like that. Niggas don't always know what the fuck they doing all the time.
You
And I
know,
don't
and
think
it's
also like regular consumers always understand how much shit be not working behind the scenes that you just never know about.
and I think that they didn't hire the pay-per-view production company.
No, for sure.
They know exactly
They
how to
probably were
get,
trying to do like an in-house situation. I
you know
could
what I'm
see where
saying?
that
Or
yeah.
even just like you said, it's tiers to everything. We bought the medium
Mm-hmm.
pack. We didn't go to the top De La Creme.
Right,
We bought the
right,
medium package
right,
like this. We
right,
know that we're gonna anticipate. I'm making it up 20 million viewers.
right,
Damn,
right,
50 million
right,
people showed up. Okay, we're gonna have
right.
problems. Like it's not even
Exactly.
like
It's just gonna be
whatever. Yeah, like it's
back to the
crazy. It's
drawing
like
board
yeah,
next
whatever.
time.
It's like at the
Yeah,
club. It's like damn, more
yeah,
people. It's a line. Like everybody not
absolutely.
happy, but the niggas
Yeah.
inside at the thing are
Them
happy.
KPI shit though for sure.
You
We
know what I'm
get
saying? And y'all
crazy.
can watch it later if y'all really want
Right,
to. It's gonna be on Netflix, so you can watch this shit for
exactly.
forever. So
Mhm.
I think that part of it was super fire. So
Yeah.
I mean, well, it sounds like I guess me and you are still optimistic about America.
It's about to
Have
be
we given up
it's
on
about to be
America?
tough, but I America is a resilient nation, and I know if anybody resilient is black people. So I still got hope and faith for my people. I do think that the way that these cabinet appointments have started to pop up, and then the fact that they got Supreme Court already conservative, House, Senate, and the motherfucking White House all conservative with hella federal judges out there. We're about to see a dramatic reshaping of like the legal system and what government looks like. And that is for sure going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be to the furthest extent of what Project 2025 and what Trump and MAGA are trying to do, but they can get a nice amount of it done just by simply having a majority and just if niggas all fall in line. So that's the other thing we're going to see because Trump is vetting and only hiring niggas that are going to fall in line this time
Right,
because a lot of people quit last time around. People stood
right.
up to him. They didn't always like do everything he said, but when you nudging them niggas out. And Trump has said he's going to come for his political opponents. So like, it's only, I don't know how much,
I
like
don't know
Matt
what that
Gaetz
means
being like
exactly.
the head of the Department of Justice is crazy. Bro got a whole, like, he got real like pedo allegations, bro. Like, it was, I wouldn't want him as a politician in general, knowing like that about your character, but not to lead the Department of Justice. Like, this is just pure unfettered fucking cronyism happening. These are the deals that Trump has made during this campaign season that he's cashing in on. I saw
Yeah.
some with a Russian fucking like diplomat had a statement like last Thursday or Wednesday talking about basically insinuated they helped that nigga in some sort of way. And the Russians, we know, have interfered with elections since 2016. So
Right.
like, that's something that they do, and they always like are in our social media shit. Like, they be doing this like weird social
Mm-hmm.
dissemination shit. So I don't
Been
know.
doing
We'll
it.
find
Been
out
doing
after
it.
that. But Trump owed them niggas in Russia a fucking deal. I think it's gonna be giving Ukraine up or a nice chunk of it for sure, at minimum. But ain't no telling. Like, Trump likes Vladimir Putin. Like, he admires that guy,
Yeah.
you know. And I just, there has never been anything about him for me that made me feel like he truly loves America or American citizens, his constituents that vote for him. He's
Mm.
always looked like someone who's out for self. I'm not gonna tell somebody that they're wrong. If you feel like he really looking out for you and that's really truly what you believe inside, I'm gonna let you rock, G. It's, we 2 weeks past the shit now. I'm gonna be all right. But I feel I'm scared for people with Social Security. I'm
Mhm.
scared about public schools. I'm scared about motherfuckers who can't afford to go to school that rely heavily on Pell Grants, you know, and fucking FAFSA to like get through school.
Mhm.
I'm worried about how already we were talking about how the public education system's fucked up. That's going to get worse. And now they're trying to push this school choice shit and take public school money, switch them
Give it
into
to private
vouchers to pay
school.
for motherfuckers to go to private school. That don't even make the point of private schools because you paying for the shit yourself.
And then the point of it now is to be like you said, to control all these narratives, to teach what
Exactly.
they're gonna teach. And
Exactly.
and so like you said, like I mean,
It's a propaganda machine that they trying to. It's a conveyor belt of like mentally shape you up for that, and you still gonna be dumb. They gonna send your ass to the assembly line, bro.
and so it's like as people, how resilient back to your point, will we become? Will this be the wake up that we need to really implement those group economics and insulate ourselves and our communities and vote in our where we are? And so it's like, will Black people have that kind of reaction, or to your point, will they co-opt themselves and assimilate into just Americanness and pick a side, pick blue or red, and split our community amongst that, and we, you know what I'm saying, assimilate that way because
Yeah.
it's no real other options. I am interested, like you said, to see the collapse of the system that they're creating
Mhm.
to a certain degree because it's, you know, but then I would think that like, is that not going to create a reaction? You know what I'm
I
saying? Like,
believe there will be resistance as soon as it start warming up. Unless some crazy shit happen over the colder months, we gonna see some form of protesting come spring and summer for something. I don't know what it's gonna be, but
mm,
I think there will be quick reactions. And also, when Elon Musk tells people that, oh, it's gonna be fucked up for me, we're gonna have to go through some shit before it get better. That was a spoon feed of just letting niggas know early on, like, y'all actually not gonna get exactly what you want, at least immediately. And I think people, a majority of voters who voted for Trump, care about the economic state of things right now. When
yeah.
them tariffs start coming through, like, it's hella
Mhm.
companies that's like shipping shit early to get ahead of it with their projections and shit, just so they can beat the tariff situation. And
Yeah.
Trump seems pretty adamant about it. If anything, that was the stuff that for that blue Rust Belt, like blue wave that they talk about over in that little corner of Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin,
Mhm.
all that or whatever. Like, people were making things in that area. So that's a big thing. They want their manufacturing jobs back. Even with where globalization and economics is, we're not gonna get it back to the make America great again vision that niggas be having
Right.
in their
Right.
heads. But
What innovation can we create? Where will we
bro,
be in AI? Are we gonna
bro,
be creating shit? Like it's
that
so much stuff.
automation is crazy. So it's less need. You still need quite a bit of jobs, but that's why unions are important because they can advocate for themselves and like fuck some shit up and disrupt shit when they're organized. If they're not organizing, a lot of these companies like to break up unions or stop them from happening in the first place. That's so workers don't have protections, bro. You can't advocate for
Right.
yourself as a group. The same way we look at the sports shit, it's like they need a bigger share of the motherfucking media contracts, bro. Like we need more
Yeah.
bread. They have to come together and organize. And there's no NFL without the players. The same way there's no Ford fucking Bronco going down the assembly line without the niggas putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
It's still gonna be a minute for them robots and shit to kick in, but that's a real concern for you, a valid one as well. But also like shit that's made in America is already inherently more expensive because the labor that it costs to make the shit is more. The reason that shit is fast and cheap right now is because China built up a pipeline of automation and systems where everybody on that bitch working and they working for pennies on the dollar still, bro.
Yeah.
It's lifting people out of poverty, but like it's a shit like
At what
that's a
cost? It's a
yeah,
big
they're
cost.
going through they like post-World War II, 1950s to 70s kind of factory era right now, lifting a bunch of people into the middle class. And then those kids and their grandkids are probably getting more tech and shit the same way it kind of looks like over in America. But yeah, bro. And then we got to find another country that's going to do cheap labor. Like all of this shit is fast and cheap because we're doing it through exploitation. American-made goods are not going to, and then we're still not going to be getting paid the amount of money that we want in order to afford these American-made things. I got some American-made pieces, a good sweater or some jeans or some shit. We did, we both like denim. You get some American-made denim, gonna be good selfish. But yeah, them bitches gonna be probably $400.
It's gonna cost.
Like versus a 2 to 3. That shit really does add up long term. And when you're not making that much money still, you're not going to be able to afford to buy these American-made things. And I don't think, there's a lot to just explain to your average person. And most people don't have that much time to sit down and think of all of that. That's why I just think that education is so important. And they talk about the disconnect between the college elites and the democratic class and the working class. They need to hire some niggas like us to go through there and help them with their messaging. Because that's really the thing. You got to be able to punch these things to young people in a 30 to 60 minute TikTok video. Like you really do be able to have to get that shit out that way, or get on Jubilee and debate motherfuckers. Like I looked at some of Pete Buttigieg's joint. That shit was tight,
Yeah, that shit was tight. I'm not gonna lie. I like those videos. Actually, I actually did enjoy
really
those.
dope, and they got to do more of that stuff because young people will sit down or at least like let that shit play in the background. It's an hour and a half, 2 hours, but that is a form of a podcast. They still listening to the information, but like. Yeah, it's tough to do that. You can't. The debate was big with Kamala and Trump. I think because it was like the first one, and like niggas needed to see what's up with Kamala for real. But like, you gotta get on those new media platforms for real because people not watching TV like that.
And
the vice president debate was not shit worth the ratings.
Bro, it was terrible. And I think that people hopefully can understand that they have to have some type of approachability to them as politicians.
Yeah.
Like the picture that Kamala put out afterwards when she was like with her nieces drinking wine. It's like, bro, that's how you should have been coming the whole time. It's like you're like, I feel like it's still a case within the Democrats of people trying to be these model minorities.
Yeah.
You think that you're doing a service by like, I'm sticking to my script, I'm showing discipline. And it's like, bro, you're losing the campaign if you don't curse him out and win. It's like you don't want to win that bad, to your point.
Exactly, because we already saw Trump win that way. We clearly see that the American people don't give that much of a shit. And honestly, the motherfuckers on the left need people to be clapping back like that because niggas be playing pussy all the time.
You know what I'm saying?
To calling it like the fucking Tim Wall shit when they was calling them niggas weird. That was
that nigga weird, bro. We did that shit. And that's what I'm saying.
They are weird.
They are weird. So it's just like, it is what it is. Like I said, we hope for us. We got our own families that we're trying to build in these next 4 years. That's gone, that they have set their set of challenges for. But like I said, I find resilience in what our ancestors and predecessors went through. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like they could do that shit. I could deal with this motherfucker. Motherfuckers I know was born during Reagan, was born during Nixon. You know what I'm saying?
It would suck if I was like a young 20s Gen Z. Like if I was 20 to like 25, I know because a lot of them still don't really have jobs right now anyway. So it's like it's rough, and so many of them are not finishing school or going to school and all this other shit. And it's just tough. Like the cost of living, if I were young without like a career, is rough right now, bro.
So families, you got to come back together. You know what I'm saying? Community got to come back because life is always, that's what I'm saying. We Black. Life always been hard. 4 or 5 niggas always used to have to live in the house. That was the reason for that. Like you said, niggas went to college and now they trying to be a little bit more and try to have their own. And I get
minority you just mentioned.
You know what I'm saying? So that really stuck out to me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like I was like, oh damn, we still stuck in the model minority kind of mindset. Like we can't break out of it. We think that because we just nice people that they gonna give us something, and that's not how this
Right,
world works.
right, right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what's forced me to be like you know, close the point, like a man first. Cause I got out here in corporate
Mm.
America. I'm like, oh yeah, I can't let them treat me like no bitch. Hold on. Like,
Right, 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 right.
and this is kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, look at me. Like, what's up? You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right,
Like,
right, right,
don't
right,
play that
right.
funny shit. So,
Right, right, right.
you
No,
know,
definitely still got to get to it, man.
yeah,
That's the
man.
we really live in just like the capitalism matrix. This shit be so crazy.
Bro, we
Everything
are in
is
the capitalism matrix. That's real. That is real, bro.
oh man,
That's real. Well, all right, man. Another episode 2.
two in
Appreciate
the
y'all.
books.
Y'all still listening, you know. So comment, subscribe. Let us know what y'all think about what's going on. You know,
Hell yeah, hell yeah.
we ain't
Share this
talking to
with your
ourselves.
mom and them too. We trying to have a couple of conversations in the comments. So
Yeah, man.
definitely let us know what you think about this stuff. We want to hear from y'all too.
Yeah, so all right, y'all. Stay
All right,
black.
y'all, be
Peace.
easy.